This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Ooh, welcome to DBL.
Yes.
Ooh, we've been waiting almost a year, and we finally got it. This is what I'm talking about, of course, Chris Rock. He was talking about last year's Oscars, of course, when Will Smith smacked him on stage following a joke about Will's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. Well, on Saturday night, I don't know if you watched, we all did, Chris hit back in his live Netflix comedy special called Selective Outrage. And he definitely did not take the high road. He took a different type of road. He opened the show with a joke referencing the slap. Take a look.
You know what people say? They always say, words hurt. That's what they say. Gotta watch what you say, because words hurt. You know, anybody that says words hurt has never been punched in the face.
Chris ended the set specifically addressing the slap. It was like the last 10 minutes or so. He called Will Shug Smith, but said he is not a victim. You will not see him sitting down with Oprah or Gayle to talk about it. Chris then said Will's anger wasn't really even about him. It was selective outrage caused by his wife's entanglements with another man. Let's take a look.
I didn't have any entanglements. Everybody in here have been cheated on. None of us have ever been interviewed by the person that cheated on us on television. She hurt him way more than he hurt me, okay?
Chris also took some time to talk about how much he was a fan of Will's. Watch this.
He's made some great movies. I have rooted for Will Smith my whole life. I root for this, okay?
So what did you think of Chris's special and how he addressed the slap? Should he have taken the high road? I don't even like saying high road because I'm not sure that is the high road.
Right. You've been assaulted.
Yeah, I don't think
you ever
that's
ask somebody who's been assaulted, are you going to take the high road?
Yeah, I don't think that's a fair comparison.
I'm going to take the road that I choose to take. So, you know, I watched it this weekend. Just a little bit about my relationship with Chris Rock. I did a show with him once at the Apollo with him and Hannibal. So I'm a little biased. I'm biased because I bought his first album called Born Suspect. Most people don't even know that existed, but it really sparked my love of stand-up comedy. He's a true technician and one of the best that's ever done it. And what happened to him at the Oscars was humiliating on so many levels we don't have time to discuss just in this A block. But I'll say this, watching this, I feel like he did that for all the people that feel like they have been bullied but don't want to take the normal path. He kept saying, Erica, I'm not a victim. And taking back some of your power is by using whatever avenue you had. He doesn't have big muscles. He doesn't have an entourage. He has a microphone and a brain. And he examined that situation, what led to the slap, and then he worked backwards and dissected it. And he made it easy and palatable for all of us to understand. And I think we are all better for understanding how human beings work and what leads to violence, and understanding that that slap had, like he said, nothing to do with him.
I just find it really interesting, too, because you don't, for transparency, you don't watch a lot of comedy specials.
Never.
You've been very open about that because for your own process and all of that.
And just, I never want to steal from unknowingly, unconscious stealing, so yeah.
No, so, I mean, honestly, I was just curious to see your thoughts about it. For me, I watched on Sunday in true transparency. I fell asleep a couple times, not because it wasn't engaging. I was just probably tired. But I did.
You've had quite the month.
Yeah.
You've had quite the month. Should we roll some tape?
Yeah. But I thought I had mixed feelings about it because as someone who has been assaulted, I can understand the different psychology that goes on behind that, you know, in terms of like, do you want to take a legal route? Do you want to like the emotional toll, the therapy, that all of those things, you know, come together. I was uncomfortable with some of the positioning, especially referring to who apparently he never called Jada by name, but he did call her some other things. And I'm like, is there a way to get your point across without saying that? Because at the end of the day, regardless of how it happened, she didn't hit him. So that made me uncomfortable. And I think that a lot of people have a lot of different feelings about that. I just, like, viscerally, I'll just say that made me uncomfortable.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say. I was just mad he messed up that very end of the joke because I know he wanted it perfect and he was thinking of it so hard. But
I was kind of glad he did.
Me too, because it showed he was live. It did.
First of all, it's a live performance, and I know we now live in a totally sanitized world where everything's perfect, and you know when your Uber is going to get there, and you know when your the Uber Eats person's going to drop your food off, and everything's perfect, and we're more medicated and more miserable than we've ever been. That's why people still go out to see live sporting events and go see live music and go see live comedy, because there's human beings doing it, and sometimes human beings mess up, and a lot of times you mess up when you're still passionate about something.
Yeah.
There are jokes that I don't really care about that I could recite in the middle of the night because I've just done them so much. But when you really need to get this out, when this has been on your soul for the last year, the fact that he messed that up, it gave it a human, tangible element to it that I really enjoyed.
That's a smart move on your part. Let's talk about some of the other things Chris tackled in his set. He touched on Meghan Markle and her sit-down interview she did with Harry and Oprah. In the interview, you might remember Meghan accused the royal family of racism for concerns about her son's skin color. Chris disagreed with that label. Let's take a look.
Oprah, they're so racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby was gonna be. They're so racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby's gonna be. I'm like, that's not racist. Because even black people want to know.
Why is that weird?
Is that because, well, okay, what do you think of that joke?
I thought it was great. I thought it was honest. I mean, I didn't think it was his funniest joke, but I think when a comic looks at any situation, our job isn't to look at something and be like, see, I agree with you guys. This is stupid. What you're supposed to do is take whatever you're looking at and just tilt it 20 degrees and be like, well, now look at it. And you hand it back to the person. And now look at it. Now what do you think? And you turn their thinking
Faceted,
until, right. And so the idea of people all over the world, not just the royal family, skin color is a thing. It is. And addressing that, giving that breath, having that uncomfortable conversation is how we get past stuff like that. Letting it sit there and just saying, look, we're going to take the high road and not talk about skin color. Of course, race had to do something with it, but also class was involved. Also, the fact that she's from America was involved, and also race was involved. So all of these things are all stirred around in this pot. And comics' jobs is to not let you just get away with just taking the one ingredient out and looking at it. We need to look at how this whole stew got stewed.
I was like, where is he going to go with that? What do you think of it?
I think about it in terms of some of the comedy specials, and I watch comedy a lot. I love comedy. And then I start, like, my husband and I will have this conversation about how we're consuming it now versus 5 years ago, 10 years ago, because the conversations that are coming out of watching a comedian perform are so different than they were 5-10 years ago. And how much are we, there was oh gosh, I'm gonna mess up, I can't think of his name, but he talked about it like a hamburger, and he's like, I just want to be a cheeseburger because I want you to enjoy me while you have me. So enjoying that art in the time and in the space that we're meant to, we're meant to enjoy that.
Is that possible? That's so interesting you said that. Is that possible with anything now? Because when I watch a sporting event, now when I watch a football game, I'm like, man, why isn't this team hired a black head coach? I never want to think about that during a stupid football game. I want to watch the game. You know, but everything that you look at now has been, there's so many layers, and it's added nuance to our conversations, but it's also just taken the joy out of a lot of things that used to be a mindless activity, where now you're just like, I remember, I've been at pro sporting events where I can feel people looking at me to see if I'm going to stand for the anthem.
Wow.
Like, I'm like, I just want to be drunk in the parking lot before
eating
I come
chicken
in
wings
here.
and
I don't want to do this right now.
Right.
So
well, society.
That was really interesting.
That is. Society's come to a hilt, and that's where everything is now. We're at this intensity level. I thought Chris Rock's special was great. I thought it was funny.
I dug it.
I laughed and laughed and laughed. Let us know what you think. If you disagree, please write us on YouTube or our app. Coming up on DBL, speaking of comedians, the very funny Jim Gaffigan is telling us all about his new movie, Linoleum.
People are talking about that movie.
Is that right?
People are saying it's
Is
really
that
good.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, good. And a terrifying flight for passengers. No one wants to see this. The cabin fills with smoke. We're going to tell you what caused the emergency landing.
I have a guess.
Somebody roll the clip.
Let's make sure we have Jeff's sex tape.
Wow, things are getting spicy here at DBL.
Cold-hearted snake, look into his eyes.
Let's roll that again, everybody.
What you doing today?
Okay, so hi guys, Mimi D726. I just want
Is
to
it
know.
Mimi with an I?
It's 2 eyes.
Okay, yeah, because
Mimi's a great name, isn't
well,
it?
Mimi
From
is
an
my-
opera, but La Vie Bohème.
Mimi is what my kids call my mom.
Oh, the grandma.
And it's interesting. I feel like because grandmothers are so young now.
Yeah, they don't want to be called grandma.
They're not. They're like, oh, it's me, mom. It's Mimi. You know, Big Mama, whatever. Everybody.
Totally.
That's the thing. Write in and tell us your name of your grandma.
Yeah, what is your name?
Or
By
what
the
do
way,
your kids call her?
in Tagalog, I've dated a Filipino man for a long, long time, and they called him Lola and Lolo. And my mom, there's a song, whatever Lola wants, Lola gets. So my mom wants to be called Lola if I ever have kids, just because she wants to get whatever she wants. Okay, back to Mr. James. If Chris would have just bashed Will Smith, but Jade and Megan wasn't my cup of tea.
You're allowed to not like it. I think that's great. Comics are meant to make you feel emotion.
I like how you said it tilts.
Yeah,
tilts,
and it's
tilts.
just like you're every issue. That if you looked at like his set list, every issue is a hot button issue. I'm going to talk about Meghan Markle.
Abortion.
I'm going to talk about abortion. I'm going to talk about transgenderism. I'm going to talk about the
Michael
Kardashians.
Jackson.
I'm going to talk about R. Kelly. Can you imagine trying to make all those things funny? And he did it.
Yeah.
Comedy isn't just. It's not about attacking people. It's about talking about difficult things and allowing there to be a release valve. You have to be able to, and I had to. I was talking with a buddy of mine this weekend about the UFC fight because some of their practices I don't agree with some of the way they treat their fighters. And my friend was like, "Yeah, I know, but I had a long week at work this week, and I'm looking forward to this fight."
Oh, okay. It's
and
a release
sometimes
valve.
it's that simple, Cobb. I just want to see some dudes box real quick.
Yeah.
Welcome back. All right, get ready. This is going to be a bumpy ride. I just came up with that. Folks on a Southwest flight heading to Florida had a very terrifying experience. They're okay, but after a bird hit one of their engines, the cabin filled with smoke. So here's some footage. Passengers are seen scrambling as the oxygen masks are coming down. The flight ended up making an emergency landing, and thanks to its female pilot, the plane landed safely with only one engine left. Thankfully, none of the 147 passengers and crew were hurt. Oh, knock on wood. Poo. That's fantastic. But that was just one of several flights that had some major issues over the weekend. Do all of these problems make you think twice about flying?
Absolutely not. Are you 7? No.
I didn't even get the words out. Is that because are you talking about the math?
It's so dangerous to drive.
Right.
People are on their phones, Erica. People are in a hurry. People are on several different medications, and we'll leave it at that, at all times. So people are sleepy, and some people just aren't that skilled at driving, and it's all happening at the same time. We just saw, first of all, didn't like the fact that they called out that she was a female pilot. She's a damn pilot that's highly skilled at what she does. So let's take that word out because that's ridiculous. And not taking a shot at our producers. I'm just saying, I understand we need to highlight that women are in the workforce and doing their thing, but she's a skilled pilot. So I appreciate that.
Right.
I really do.
Yeah, I have to fly, so we're going to continue to fly.
Does it freak you out at all? Agreed. It is more danger. Like, you are in more danger of dying driving to the airport than in the air. That is empirically evidentiary. I can't lie about that. But there's something about being in the air that's so terrifying.
How many people do you know that have been in a bad car accident?
A lot.
A lot. Do you know anybody that's died in a plane crash?
No.
What's the next story? I'm just kidding. That would have been. If we had less time, that would have been a cool way to end the segment.
It kind of is.
But honestly, yeah, it's
true.
fine. Yes,
yeah.
it's fine.
Actually, all right, coming up on a very funny interview with the comedian Jim Gaffigan. He tells us what it was like working on a movie with both comedy and drama in the mix. I think the kids call it a dramedy.
The Secure Act 2.0 that went into law on January 1st makes some changes to existing rules around retirement accounts. It also could give a one-up to people struggling to pay student loans. To get the facts, we went to Mark Henry, CEO of Alloy Wealth Management, the text of the Secure Act 2.0, and the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. It's a tough choice for some student loan borrowers. Put money into their 401k and save for retirement or make payments on their student loans. But a provision in the Secure Act 2.0 might make it easier for borrowers to save for retirement and pay off their loans.
Starting in 2025, businesses will be able to make a contribution to your 401k if you pay down your student debt.
According to the Secure Act 2.0, it works like a company match on 401k contributions. Companies can count payments made on student loans, match those payments, and put that money into employees' 401k.
You paid a $200 payment to pay down your student loan, and the company you work for in that example put $200 in your 401k.
According to the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, the total student debt balance, including federal and private loans, is more than $1.76 trillion. For students struggling to choose saving or paying off loans, Henry says this new law could help.
That would encourage young people to actually pay down their student loans.
Henry says the Secure Act 2.0 does not force companies into matching student loans. That will be up to the companies if they want to participate or not. With your Verify Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
Welcome back to DBL. He's a Grammy-nominated comedian, a New York Times best-selling author, and an actor. Earlier, we spoke with the Jim Gaffigan. Take a look. Please welcome to DBL, Jim Gaffigan. Jim.
Thank you, everyone. It's great to be here.
Before we get to linoleum, we had a conversation about Peter Pan earlier, and people saying it's too woke, and I'm not going to get you into this whole gotcha thing, but you play Mr. Sneed, and my question to you was, do you think about this now, Jim? Because you're making so many movies. Do you have to think about how the pushback from the woke culture or society is going to affect the movies that you're in?
I mean, not really. I mean, I do feel like if there are adjustments to projects to make them more less offensive, like anyone who's watched, if you have kids and you watch Peter Pan, you're like, the animated one, you're like, holy cow, I can't believe this is.
Yeah, thank you. Tiger Lily,
yes. This is what's being said. And and so it's not, I don't know, I feel like as a creative person, you can be held hostage by other people's approval, but you also want to be able to accomplish your creative goal. And so I don't think, particularly, I mean, Peter Pan's a really glaring example.
Yeah.
I mean, that movie, the animated one, was done in the 30s. You know what I mean? It's, there's a lot of things that are problematic, or even that word problematic is strange. But no, I don't think it's not that big of an adjustment to make slight changes to language so that someone doesn't get their feelings hurt. It doesn't bother me.
I think
I'm a great guy, that's why.
You are a great guy. First of all, your movie Linoleum, Jim, has things falling from the sky. So I have to know the $1 million question, too, and it's about the stars and all that. Are aliens real? What do you believe is out there? Are we alone?
I mean, I think, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm not even from this planet right now. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of times when you watch the news and you're like, well, that person can't be from here because that just escapes basic logic. I don't know. The alien thing, I think it's so weird how, the aliens arrived and they didn't really even survive a 24-hour news cycle. We saw that there's aliens anyway, but can you believe what's going on with Drake calling out his exes. Like the aliens were kind of not interesting enough to hold our attention.
True.
It's really sad.
We can move to Drake.
Think even if they landed, people would just be mad. Like, I'm trying to get to work here. My Waze app didn't take me around. Well, Jim, I'm a huge fan of stand-up. I do stand-up myself. You're Indiana's finest comic ever. Shout out. And, one of the things you do on stage that I've always loved about you is that kind of inner side voice. And my co-host Jeff and I were talking about during the break. You play your own doppelganger in this movie. Did you incorporate a little bit of that into that character? And what was the best part of playing you?
It is interesting, giving the opportunity to play a second character is really fun because as an actor, you're just kind of finding this character within yourself, and some of the inside voice that I use in my stand-up comedy is an additional point of view. I mean, every comedian has a lot of voices in their heads. I mean, we all do. We all have different versions of ourselves. And so, particularly in Linoleum, the fact that I got to play two different characters was fun, but, it's also not surprising. I mean, I have children, I'm sure that anyone who's seen my stand-up, hopefully I'm, approachable and likable, but, I play this character, Kent, in this movie, who's rather intimidating. But, to my children, I'm the guy that takes screens away from them. I'm like this force of evil. So it's not a stretch.
So speaking of doppelgangers, Jim, I think the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman was yours. Did you channel him while making this movie?
Ooh.
No, but I did a Broadway play, and they called that Championship Season, and they literally said, we offered it to Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he turned it down. And so we're going to offer it to you.
You're the beta. You're the beta team.
Hey,
I mean, he also is one of America's great actors. So being compared to him is. But I also, whenever I see someone that looks like me, there's a certain sadness I feel, because going around looking like this it's not great. Even doing this Zoom, the fact that I have to look at myself is kind of painful.
Thank you, DBL Nation. Linoleum is in theaters now. You can also check out Jim's comedy tour, Dark Pale, by visiting his website, jimgaffigan.com. Thank you so much, Jim. We'll be right back. You look good, buddy.
Oh, well, thank you.
We typically don't even think about breathing, but some recent headlines about gas stove emissions and worries over toxic chemicals in the air, or even just this early onset allergy season, might have you thinking a little bit more about the quality of the air you breathe. A viewer asked us if using an air purifier has shown any health benefits. We turned to several sources to verify yes, but its effectiveness depends on the type of air purifier, what kind of pollutants you're dealing with, and where you put it. Since the Environmental Protection Agency warns filter-free air cleaners can generate high amounts of lung-irritating ozone, the EPA instead says to start by looking for air purifiers with a HEPA filter.
But it does need to run rather continuously for it to be effective.
Dr. Anjani Keswani says it should be running at least whenever people are in the room, and the filter should be rated to properly filter the size of the room it's placed in. Research shows air purifiers can help remove harmful gases from the surrounding air, but in that case, old-fashioned ventilation is probably more effective. The devices are best at catching the slightly bigger tiny particles floating around in your home, like allergens, dust, fungal spores, and emissions. There's strong evidence that helps reduce asthma symptoms in children, but the World Health Organization says household air pollution can lead to serious health problems for anyone. Dr. Keswani points out, though, people live life outside the home too, so it's a bit tough to study specific health benefits of a purifier in the house, though research does show cleaner air is healthier air.
I think a lot about air pollution as affecting the lungs and the nose and maybe the sinuses as well, but there's actually a huge amount of literature on how particulate matter affects heart attack risk and stroke risk.
Research shows the portable purifiers are more effective because they don't just rely on heat or AC kicking in to work. We have more information on the research and findings on our website. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
An omen of impending disaster? a real-life version of Hitchcock's horror movie, The Birds. That's what some people thought when they saw this viral video of a massive flock of blackbirds covering the street and perched on cars and houses in a residential neighborhood in Santiago de Querétaro, a city in central Mexico. Since January, that video has been posted by multiple accounts, garnering more than 4 million views and lots of comments about what caused this scene. One person wrote, quote, "The main theory behind this is that the birds sense an environmental crisis is coming." So let's verify. Does this massive flock of blackbirds indicate an environmental crisis? These are our sources. The Cornell Lab of Ornithology, the National Audubon Society, and the Columbia Audubon Society confirmed that this is completely normal behavior for blackbirds and doesn't indicate a change in their environment. Blackbirds frequently gather in large numbers during the winter and often in residential neighborhoods. Flocks of blackbirds, estimated to number in the millions, have been sighted for decades. So can these birds predict any type of natural disasters? The United States Geological Survey says some research has been done to see if birds can predict earthquakes, but they say, quote, "Consistent and reliable evidence of this behavior has yet to be found." So we can verify, no, this massive flock of blackbirds does not indicate an environmental crisis. With your Verify, I'm Adiante Till.
Welcome back. If you suffer from joint pain, adapting your house to work for you can be helpful to avoid painful situations. It's time for some joint and muscle support brought to you by Omega XL. So there are some easy ways to adapt your house to make your daily routines easier. To avoid slips in the bathroom, put in a transfer bench and slip mats in the tub and by the toilet. In the kitchen, keep the appliances you use often on the counter so you don't have to bend over to grab them from cabinets, and replace heavy cookware with lighter pots and pans. Omega XL has improved the lives of millions of consumers, supported by 30 years of clinical research. Omega XL's powerful and proven benefits have transformed the lives of athletes, celebrities, and dedicated daily users. So call 1-800-813-6801 or visit OmegaXL.com for more information. We got a story here I know Al's gonna love. The Girl Scouts, they're upset. Their newest cookie has hit the black market. The raspberry
Cutting those profits.
The raspberry rally cookie seen here was only sold online and it quickly sold out. Now boxes of the cookies are appearing on eBay for a big markup. A box normally sells for $5 or $6, but eBay has one listed for $40. Or you can get your hands on 20 boxes for $450. That's a 350% increase. The Girl Scouts organization said they are disappointed because the resellers are trading off the Girl Scouts name, but the Scouts are not seeing any of that money, Al.
Scouts don't see the money anyway. Scouts don't see the money anyway. It goes to that organization. I'm telling you, this is a grift. That is my opinion. Would you ever see any organization that cared about kids worried about a black market being set up? That sounds like a company, doesn't it? Does to me.
See you tomorrow.